clean. We want to make sure that our roads are not being constantly degraded and that there are not fees associated if they are being degraded that will compensate for that. These are things that we want to ensure the citizens that we are looking into and thoroughly before we go down this road of accepting we don't know how many at a time. And so because of that, I think it's, a prudence to, measure twice and cut once. Caution, proceed with caution. And so many times we have examples in our state of, shooting first and aiming later. And I would like to be put on record the fact that we are simply trying to honor our staff's request to, hey, can we get a handle on this before, we get barraged with applications? And that's all that we are trying to do. And so I thank you for your patience. Recognize that this is not permanent. This is temporary. As Diane also eloquently put, if they get finished and can figure this out in less than 6 months, they may come to us sooner. So we appreciate their diligence, your work on this, and look forward to gaining the education that we need to move forward in an educated fashion. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. Moratoriums are temporary, and I agree that we need to take a little bit of a time out to take a good look at this and figure out how Arapahoe County wants to deal with this issue going forward. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of misinformation, and we need to look at what other jurisdictions have done and really figure out what's best for Arapahoe County. So therefore, I'd like to make a motion. I may.
Any other commissioner comments for making a motion? No, then please proceed.
In the matter of the request to adopt a temporary moratorium on the acceptance and processing of applications for commercial disposal wells and related facilities for the disposal by injection of Class II oil and gas exploration and production wastes, I have considered the planning staff recommendation, reviewed the board's summary report, and heard such public testimony and staff comments as was presented to the board at public hearing this day, and find myself in agreement with the staff recommendation. Therefore, I move that the Board of County Commissioners adopt by resolution a temporary moratorium on the acceptance and processing of applications for such commercial disposal wells and related facilities as presented to the board. Such moratorium shall be enforced for a period of up to 6 months, so it does say up to 6 months, to enable planning staff to evaluate the land use impacts of such facilities and develop appropriate regulations for such facilities.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Holman. Any further discussion or questions? Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I would like to add that I did read the letter this morning from COGA, and, they said, well, that we need to convene groups of stakeholders and so on, and I do believe that we will be doing that as part of our analysis so that we will hear from all kinds of folks from all different perspectives before we put whatever it is we put into place.
And sometimes as chair, I forget to make my own comments as well. But I did want to say that I think that a lot of the seismic activity things have been resolved. Thank you for the word. And I do think that this will give us time to advertise or communicate those findings about the seismic activity. Not that there aren't other concerns about these injection wells, but I do think that the seismic activity, and I do think that the moratorium will give us that time to get all that information together. So with that, I'll call for the vote. Do we want to do a roll call vote? Or should I just say, we'll just go ahead and try it this way. All in favor of approving the motion? Aye. Any opposed?
I'm going to vote aye, and I will say only because, not only, but largely because of the road impacts. I think that knowing that our roads are deteriorating and we have a lot of heavy traffic on those roads, and this would be a continual process versus oil and gas, which is intermittent except during the drilling process. So I am a reluctant
In favor?
in favor on this, but I do want to make sure that we have these. I think the things outlined in here with stakeholder meetings and industry and learning from other counties is really important, and I will look forward to. I'd like that process to go as quickly as possible.
Thank you. So that motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is item 6B. It's a public hearing for case number LDC 18-002, the Arapahoe County Land Development Code Amendment. Our attorney is Robert Hill, and our presenter is Kathleen Hammer, planner with Public Works and Development. Mr. Hill, would you set the foundation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This request for an amendment to the Land Development Code, specifically the chapter on sign codes, has been noticed through publication in both the Villager and the I-70 Scout. The board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Hammer.
Good morning, Commissioners. The application before you today is a county-initiated application to amend the Land Development Code to update the existing Chapter 12 with new verbiage in order to comply with the Supreme Court's decision in the Reed versus Town of Gilbert. The decision made in the Reed versus Town of Gilbert case determined that sign regulations cannot regulate and or restrict signage based on the content of the sign. The proposed language in the sign the proposed language eliminates sign restrictions such as area, height, location based on the type of information displayed on a sign. It does not regulate additional zoning regulations to regulate signage within unincorporated Arapahoe County. This code update does not propose any significant changes to dimensional standards such as setbacks, height, or size limitations. Some standards were clarified, such as the flagpole height requirements. A study session was held at the Planning Commission on May 1st, 2018, and a public hearing was held at the Planning Commission on June 5th, 2018. The Planning Commissioners discussed the proposed language and clarified that significant changes to dimensional standards are not planned with this amendment. Staff confirmed that the proposed changes are to address recent case law and not intended to change dimensional standards related to any zoning district. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval to the BOCC. Based on the findings of the staff report, staff recommends approval of the Land Development Code Amendment. I stand for any questions.
Questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Sharp.
I just had a question and I don't have it up. I can find it really quickly, but there was something in the report that said, was talking about for sale signs. And so if somebody has a for sale sign, what other content could they put on a for sale sign?
So the reason for this amendment is to eliminate such sign regulations based on the type of sign. So a for sale sign would now be regulated as a sign in the right-of-way that's temporary or something of the sort. It doesn't call out political sign or a for sale sign versus a community meeting sign. So both of those signs should have the same, they should be able to be placed for the same amount of time, be the same size, regardless of what the content on those signs is.
Okay, so the content isn't going to mean that, I don't know why anyone would want to do this, but for sale and then making some other sort of advertisement on there for some cause that they support or something like that. That's not what this is talking about here, because it doesn't change content.
Mr. Hill may have some
Okay.
explanation.
It's probably a bit of an oversimplification, but the Supreme Court case that this code revision is meant to address kind of comes down that if you have to read the sign to determine whether it meets your regulation, then that's a First Amendment violation, and it's a regulation of speech as opposed to
signs. I'm confused by that.
Well, for instance, with and this is just what the Supreme Court's saying. So if you have to read the sign to determine whether it's in compliance, then it's regulating the content of the sign as opposed to where the sign's located, how big it might be, that sort of thing. So in this case, for instance, our code previously addressed for sale signs, realty signs specifically. To know that something is a for sale sign or realty sign, you have to be able to read it to determine it's not advertising something else or a political message of some sort. So what this code does is in taking out for instance, the for sale signs, it doesn't say you can't have for sale signs, it just says you can have a temporary sign that's, of approximate size and shape of a for sale sign. You can keep it, for this period of time. I think it's 6 months in the code.
Okay.
So the for sale sign, that would be correct. Content.
Okay.
Or a sign declaring that this is Joe's in-home barbershop or anything else. Right.
Okay.
Questions, comments? Commissioner? No? I do think that this revision is really intended to make sure that we're in compliance with First Amendment rights for free speech. That's really what it comes down to, is that we can regulate the size, the height, all those things, maybe even the color, I'm not sure, whatever those things are. But no matter what the sign says, the content, we cannot prohibit based on content. So
I understand. It's always a slippery slope.
Who knows what will be used for, but thank you very much. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open up for public comment. Did anyone sign up to speak? No. Then if there's any citizens here wanting to address the Board of County Commissioners on this issue, this case, please make yourself known. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Comments or a motion? Emotions? Yeah. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve with conditions. I think it's significant that the Planning Commission and staff both recommend this too. In the case of LDC 18-002, Arapahoe County Land Development Code, Sign Code Amendment, the County Commissioners have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation. I'm the right one? Yeah. There was no applicant presentation. And public comment. Any public comment is presented at the public hearing. I hereby move to approve this amendment based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1, staff will make corrections and revisions to the proposed language as directed by the county attorney prior to incorporating the approved amendment into the Land Development Code for publication.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker, seconded by Commissioner Sharp. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. The next item up is, let me get to the right page here. C, public hearing, case number PF 18-001, Copperleaf number 17, final plat. Our presenter is going to be Bill Skinner, Senior Planner with Public Works and Development. Mr. Hill continues to be our Senior Assistant County Attorney on this matter. Mr. Hill, would you please set the foundation?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This final plat for subdivision has been noticed through mailing, publication, and posting of the property. All is required under the Land Development Code. The board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Skinner.
Morning, Bill Skinner for the Planning Division. I think you've heard this spiel a lot from me recently. So this is the final plat in Copperleaf. This particular final plat is located east of the intersection of South Piccadilly Street and East Redcliffe Parkway. The proposal is to take 54 acres and subdivide that into 236 single-family detached lots with accompanying tracts for roadways, utilities, infrastructure, and one park site in the middle of the property. Plats do not go to the Planning Commission. They come straight to you. Final plats come straight to you, so we have no recommendation for the Planning Commission. However, Arapahoe County being a statutory county, our plats are largely configured according to state statute. Staff reviews them according to that and the regulations in our Land Development Code. We find this complies with our regulations in the Land Development Code. We think the document is accurate and complete. Staff is recommending approval of this. On top of the basic, straightforward information, it also complies with the overall direction staff has expected things to go in the Copperleaf Preliminary Development Plan. So pretty much no surprises here. Is there anything I can answer for the county commissioners? We have the applicant here to speak as well, if you wish.
Any questions? Commissioner Conti.
I just wanted to confirm, you said we were talking about, I believe, 256 homes on 56 acres?
236 on
36.
54.
54. 236 on 54. On 54. I was just doing the math and trying to figure out per acre what that's coming, or how many houses per acre that was coming up with, and I'm coming up with 0.22.
4.37, I believe.
Say that again, please.
I believe it's 4.37.
4.37 acres per home? No.
Approve the proposed plat will
Many
result
homes
in-
per acre.
Okay, 4.3 homes per acre.
Yes.
Okay, that would make sense. Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Skinner? No. Thank you very much, Mr. Skinner. We may have you come back up. Any questions for the applicant at this time?
He has a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a presentation? Or
He does.
if you have a presentation, we'd be happy to take a look at your display. And if you could, please state your name and address for the record.
Sure thing. Ryan McBreen, Norris Design, 1101 Bannock Street, Denver, Colorado. We're the planners and landscape architects on this project. Just want to thank Bill and staff for getting us to this point. I believe this is a great project. It's just another project within the master plan Copperleaf community. Turn over. Here. Just adds a little color so you can understand what we're trying to do with this project. At this time, Richmond Homes is planning to build the homes on this site, so they've worked in some of the other areas within Copperleaf. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. We have Richard and Daniel Frank here to answer any other questions you might have. So keep it brief, and we're here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. We're going to have our AV specialist just kind of see if we can, I don't know if we can do anything about that glare. But I do understand that the park is in the middle, and we did actually get that same drawing in our packet, so I was able to look at that. And is there any, I didn't see any, I just want to make sure there's no retail planned in this area.
No, there's not. That's further located next to Quincy.
Correct.
Yeah, centrally located park here, connectivity tracks with elementary school. So I worked with the school to provide a location for across here, just where they wanted it. Sure.
So, Mr. Skinner, that's other duties as assigned to get rid of glare on.
So to repeat what I said, centrally located park here. We do have some landscape tracks here and here. Worked with the school to create a connection point here. This is where they wanted the crossing for the school so the students can get there safely. So.
Questions or comments? Commissioner Sharp.
So when you say crossing, is it just an easement that kind of goes through between those houses and onto the school property, or?
Yes, there's a tract here, sidewalk here, and then there's going to be a pedestrian crosswalk, and I believe there's the RFBs, the flashing lights there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's right there.
Okay. Great. That's good. Make that connection now.
Exactly.
Any further? Commissioner Jackson.
This is just a comment, really. When I see a subdivision plan like this, I always imagine myself as a driver and whether or not I'd get lost. And so I appreciated that, even though it's not a grid, the circles are something that I think even I could figure out. So I appreciate that. I also like the big park in the center. That also functions somewhat as some kind of drainage.
No, not
No.
for this project. Drainage is off-site for this one.
Okay.
There are two ECCV. There are two ECCV water recharge stations right there. So, but there's no detention there.
Maybe that's what I meant. Okay, thank you.
Questions? Thank you very much. We can leave that up there for now, and just in case one of the citizens who are here to comment may want to refer to that map. So this is a public hearing. I'm going to open up public comment. Is there anyone that signed up to speak? No one's signing up to speak this morning. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to address the Board of County Commissioners on this issue, on this case? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. And any commissioner comment, questions, or motions? Seeing none, I will go ahead and, in the case of PF 18-001, Copperleaf filing number 17, final plat, I have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and any public comment as presented at the hearing, and hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. 2. Prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the staff will obtain confirmation of the applicant's compliance with the South Metro Fire Protection District requirements.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker, seconded by Commissioner Conti. Any further discussion, questions? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Frank and Mr. Frank. Are there any commissioner comments this morning? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
What's next?
Hang on, I'm looking at it here. 1 o'clock. Bees and chickens. We could get some rain this morning, I think they said. This morning? This morning, but by noon it'll burn off, and then we'll have more leaves. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is all good. I hope they're getting it up with the fire.
I want it in my yard. My yard is so brown.
I'm telling you, after all the rain we get on Sunday, and that year hit that fire over there in the rain. They didn't get to turn it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised. Considering we would modify not as much as for but not which is why I think what a lot of people were proposing for predicting. So no, I can go upstairs and get it.